Have you ever felt like your thoughts run deeper than those around you, and in turn, you find yourself more and more alone in a world full of noise? The more you understand, the fewer people seem to truly get you. This isn't a random feeling, it's something profoundly human, and it's more common than we might realize. Throughout history, deep thinkers, those who push the boundaries of understanding and question the status quo, have often faced isolation, not because they're wrong, but because their ideas challenge what others hold dear. From Socrates to Galileo, from Nietzsche to Tesla, these individuals saw the world in ways that others simply couldn't or didn't want to. And more often than not, they were met with ridicule, misunderstanding, or even persecution. It's not because they lacked social grace or emotional intelligence, it's because they made people uncomfortable. The paradox of intelligence. So why is that? Why does deep thinking, an act of seeking truth and wisdom, often push us further away from society rather than bring us closer? To answer this, let's look into the very nature of human psychology. You see, when we think about superiority, whether it's physical strength, wealth, or beauty, we don't necessarily feel threatened by it. In fact, we might even admire it. But when it comes to intelligence, something shifts. Think about it. When you meet someone who is stronger than you, you might feel admiration or respect. When you meet someone richer, you might feel envy, but it doesn't challenge your very identity. But intelligence, especially deep, thought-provoking intelligence, can make others feel uncomfortable. It's not because the deep thinker is showing off, it's because they make others confront their own limitations. This dynamic is one of the reasons why the smartest people often feel isolated. Their mere existence can make others feel inadequate, even when no words are spoken. And that's a tough pill to swallow. The mirror effect. Psychologists have a term for this phenomenon, the mirror effect. When a person's intellectual capacity is far beyond others, they don't just share knowledge, they hold up a mirror that reflects the weaknesses of those around them. And let's face it, not everyone is comfortable looking into that mirror. This creates a tension. People don't just resist the ideas of deep thinkers, they resist the very reflection those ideas offer. Let's consider this from a biological standpoint. Humans, by nature, are social creatures. Our ancestors survived in tribes, and group dynamics were essential for survival. This created a psychological wiring in our brains where social acceptance was a matter of life and death. When someone stands out, intellectually, socially, or otherwise, they become a threat to the social fabric. Even in modern times, being seen as different or too smart can trigger a primitive response: fear. Fear of exclusion, fear of being seen as inadequate. The evolution of fear. Think about the last time you felt genuinely threatened, not physically, but intellectually. How did it feel? You may have felt a surge of anxiety or discomfort, maybe even a desire to retreat. This is exactly what happens when deep thinkers enter a room full of people who aren't used to questioning things on such a deep level. It's as if their very presence is a challenge to the group's coherence, its shared beliefs, and its familiar patterns. This is why many deep thinkers find themselves isolated, not because they aren't capable of socializing, but because their intellect subtly disrupts the status quo. The group mindset and cognitive dissonance. This brings us to an important concept in social psychology: cognitive dissonance. This is the mental discomfort that arises when we're faced with information that contradicts our existing beliefs. Now, imagine someone who questions the very foundation of what most people accept as true. It doesn't matter how well-reasoned their arguments are, many will reject the information simply because it creates that discomfort. The natural reaction: resistance. Instead of embracing new ideas, the brain's default is to protect its existing beliefs. Deep thinkers often encounter this when they present their insights. What seems like truth to them can feel like a threat to others. This doesn't mean that deep thinkers are wrong or arrogant. It simply means that the truth they bring requires others to rethink everything they believe, which is often too much for many people to handle. The struggle for intellectual connection. Think back to your own experiences. Have you ever tried to share a deep thought, only to be met with awkward silence or a quick change of subject? If so, you're not alone. Many deep thinkers find it incredibly difficult to connect with others on a truly intellectual level. They may have friends, yes, but those relationships often lack the depth that the thinker craves. It's a lonely existence, not because they don't have company, but because their company often doesn't engage with them on the same level. Why is this? It's because the average person is not comfortable dwelling in the deep waters of complex thought. They prefer the shallow end, where the waters are clear and predictable. Deep thinkers, on the other hand, dive into murky, turbulent waters where the unknown lurks. And that's terrifying for many. The appeal of simplicity. In today's world, this struggle is even more pronounced. With the rise of social media, where quick, catchy content is king, deep thinkers find it harder to be heard. Simplicity is rewarded. People don't have the patience for long, thoughtful conversations that challenge their worldview. What's popular now? Sound bites, tweets, TikToks, memes, information that can be consumed in a split second without the need for deep reflection. And that's not just a cultural issue, it's a biological one. Our brains are wired for efficiency. We're designed to make quick judgments and decisions to survive. Deep thinking, however, is inefficient. It requires time, effort, and cognitive energy. The majority of people, when faced with deep, challenging ideas, will often dismiss them in favor of something easier to understand. Social media and the echo chamber. We can see the effects of this in today's digital landscape. The algorithms that power social media platforms thrive on engagement, which often comes from outrage, drama, or simplicity. Meaningful discourse, nuanced arguments, and thoughtful critiques don't generate the same kind of attention. The result? Intellectuals, philosophers, and deep thinkers are drowned out by the noise of sensationalism. The irony is that these platforms, which are meant to connect us, often isolate the very people who have something valuable to say. The algorithms promote what is easiest to digest, not what is most insightful. And as a result, deep thinkers find themselves more alienated than ever. The loneliness of insight. So, what does this all mean for deep thinkers? Simply put, the world is not designed to accommodate those who seek truth beyond the surface. Society values comfort over challenge, familiarity over novelty, simplicity over complexity. This is the paradox of deep thinking. It's a gift and a curse. It brings clarity, but it also brings isolation. It challenges the status quo, but it also separates you from the masses. But in this isolation, there's also a kind of freedom, a freedom to explore ideas without the constraints of popular opinion. It's up to each individual deep thinker to decide how they navigate this paradox. Will they silence their thoughts to fit in, or will they continue to seek the truth, no matter the cost? In the end, deep thinkers are not meant to be understood by everyone. They are meant to push the boundaries of what's possible, to question what's unquestionable, and to inspire those few who are brave enough to join them on the journey.